Go ahead.
A few on Ukraine for you. The fact that the U.S. is committing heavier weapon systems than it did initially indicate that there's less, at least in the assessment of the United States, less risk of retaliation from Russia now?
The types of weapon systems we're providing are really a reflection of the conversations happening with the Ukrainian leadership and military about what they need in this stage of the war. And because this stage of the war is different, because it's going to be more on the ground and more kind of back and forth long range fighting, there's different kinds of weapons and systems they need. More artillery, more ammunition. It's a different war than it was when they were in the western part of the country.
It said earlier that that the government's continuing to monitor that whatever is sent over is meeting the needs of the war. How exactly is that monitoring happening? Inevitably, there are going to be a lot of questions about how was the money spent, who did the equipment get in the hands of, how was it used? It may not be the next few weeks, but this could be over the next several months or years of, was this worth it? Was it worth the cost? How exactly is that being done now?
Well, look, I think that if you ask most Americans, if you ask members of Congress, if you ask most people in this country, what's important to do now is to equip and provide the type of support, assistance, including military equipment, to help them continue to fight and win in some cases, as they did in the Battle of Kyiv, this war. That is our focus. Obviously, we coordinate very closely with them, but we provide them the assistance to distribute amongst their military.
Because there was support in the beginning of the Iraq War and the Afghanistan War, and then there were years spent trying to retrace the spending on all that. I'm not saying that's necessarily going to be the case in this one, but there's no mechanism in place right now, at least.
I would point you to the Department of Defense to detail that further, but I would note, obviously, this is different given we don't have U.S. soldiers on the ground. Obviously, equipment, ensuring we're reducing waste, fraud, and abuse is important to the president, but it's a different kind of war for a range of reasons.
Given that Russia has conducted an ICBM test, is there any plan to reschedule the one that we canceled back on April 1st?
That's not something we would preview.
Okay. And what's the latest on the reported chemical weapons attack in Mariupol? Did the Russians use chemical weapons?
There's no new assessment from here.
Do we have any sense of when or how much longer that would take?
I don't. I mean, what we talked about at the time, and I know my colleagues at the Department of Defense and State also referenced, is we don't have a team on the ground. It is difficult to assess, so it is something certainly we continue to work to do, but we don't have any additional updates or confirmation. Go ahead.
Thanks.